Genocide of the Russian indigenous peoples, this is how the mobilization announced by Putin can be called in a general statement. Thus, Russia is trying not only to replenish its own reserves, but also to exterminate the national minorities and indigenous peoples that live on the territory of the Federation and the territories it occupies.
We all understand that the World Power Show is only an attempt to downplay the volume and size of mobilization. In fact, this figure will be much higher. We must be ready for this. And all this armada of unprepared people without military training, immediately thrown into the territory of our state.
The figures speak for themselves. Before the announcement of the mobilization, the biggest losses of the Russian army were among the Dagestan soldiers. And now summonses are more often handed over to the representatives of national minorities. According to the drafted people, in this way the Putin regime is trying to prevent protest and discontent in these regions.
By this mobilization, they solve two problems. The first is to replenish their people who were killed on the territory of Ukraine, and the second is to destroy the Caucasian gene pool of those disloyal to the Kremlin. So we are fighting a huge battle in this direction, but in order to present all this correctly, present to every person, one has to deal with this Kremlin propaganda machine.
But even the Kremlin's propaganda machine is unable to resist the truth all the time.
We made it our goal to convey our common North Caucasian people the idea that Russia is an aggressor in this war and is an occupier, so that our fellow citizens do not sign the contract with the Russian army in the conditions of an economically poor state in which Russia holds the Caucasus. A contract form of service is just a way out of the situation to feed the family. We took this goal and we succeeded. By the end of the summer, we had information that no one signed a contract service in the whole of Caucasus. There were only coercive measures from Kadyrov's gang, where he forced Chechens to sign military service contracts.
Russia began similar repressions in the temporarily occupied Crimea, where 50% of the subpoenas are issued to Crimean Tatars, although this is 10% of the Crimean population.
First of all, the Crimean Tatars, Muslims in the Crimea, fall under this mobilization. We all understand that this is a deportation, this is a decision to deport, this is a genocide of the Crimean Tatar people, because hundreds are taken away. People appeal to us, they write to us, they call and tell us about this. We must not allow representatives of ethnic communities to come here to us, to Ukraine, because they are precisely mobilized in the first place. And I also want to appeal so that at the state level we can coordinate that we need to say even if representatives of ethnic minorities from the Russian Federation arrive, so that they can immediately surrender into captivity.
Such a mechanism is already working. The Ukrainian state initiative I Want to Live is a round-the-clock hotline through which you can find out how to surrender to the Ukrainian military. And there's also a Telegram bot.
Ukraine guarantees the treatment of the POWs according to the Geneva Conventions, guarantees access to them for representatives of international organizations, the Red Cross, the UN. If the prisoner expresses a desire to be exchanged, such an opportunity will be recorded in the documents that he did not surrender himself, but the victim was captured during hostilities. If he does not want to return to the territory of the Russian Federation, Ukraine will not extradite such people.
Separately, representatives of national minorities appealed to the Ukrainian authorities with a request to create green corridors across the borders for those who are trying to escape from the occupation and forced mobilization.
Thousands and thousands of residents of Crimea through the territory of Russia are trying to cross the borders to third countries. The main thing these people have is that for 8 years of occupation, they all had Ukrainian documents, but now these documents are expired.
The Ukrainian ombudsman promised that a special mechanism would be developed for this, so that those who do not want to fight against Ukraine and are trying to escape from the Putin regime could get to our country faster. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Ksenia Barvinenko, UATV News.